Hello and welcome to another episode of course,
China.
We are today with Tony Huang in Songshan Lake in his office, Foocaa. We are also part of...
we're here. This building is a founder space, which is a quite well-known American exhilarator that have their place here in Songshan Lake. Tony's company is in one of the floors here, and we will talk about his company doing AI and other kind of high tech, and his story of going to the US and coming back to start a company here.
That's a very important part of the story, coming back to China. So you want to watch this one until the end.
Hey, Tony.
Yes, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, and thank you for having us here. It's a really interesting place.
Yeah, four floors of very nice space.
Right.
Yeah.
But before we go into talking about your company, talking about AI, that's, I think, really interesting. I took a walk with you the other day, remember, at the park. It was really,
nice park.
I asked you a lot of questions, like I usually do. And I found your story, your own personal story, very interesting. You were born in China. You were born in China, right?
Yes.
But you're an American citizen today.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, like, from getting from there to here, that's really interesting to me. You said you grew up in the countryside.
Yes.
Where was that?
I grew up in the north part of Guangdong.
North part of Guangdong.
Yeah, it's kind of the border between Guangdong and the Jiangxi provinces.
Right. And when you said it the other day, we spoke about how, from my experience, people growing up in the countryside go further in life. Like they work harder, you know? Do you see that?
Yes, I mean, as you know, in last 4 decades, little bit more than 4 decades, is huge change in China.
Right.
That's right. I still remember when we were like a little kid, we could say sometimes we didn't have enough food. That's right. So the top priority at that time was looking for something to eat.
Right.
That's right. Of course, for our parents, I mean, that time they are looking for the education opportunity for
the kids, right.
So I was lucky, and I have good parents that decided to put me into school instead of just working in the rice land.
Some kids were doing that?
Yeah, of course a lot of kids
were just working.
Yeah, just working and help parents to plant the rice and work in the rice field. But I was lucky, and my parents decided to put their every kids into the school, so I got the chance to go to the good school.
Going to school in China and then moving to the United States or studying in the United States seems like a dream for a lot of people, like an impossibility.
Right.
How did that manifest in your life? How did you go from China to the US?
Did you first go to university here in China?
Oh yeah. I go to the university called Songshan University. And that's one of very popular and good university in China. And I studied physics science there. And I also, after I graduated from Songshan University, I worked in Zhuhai for a couple of years.
Okay.
At the university in Zhuhai?
No, just I work for a company there.
Okay.
The cool thing is I don't know if I told you before. I work for a racing car company.
Racing car company.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Zhuhai has a Formula 3 track. Is that related?
The Formula 3
is in
track.
Macau.
No, Zhuhai has. Zhuhai has one.
Oh, okay.
Zhuhai, the fourth racing car company, or the fourth racing car, what's that called? The track.
The track,
was in Zhuhai. The fourth one in China, whole China.
I think the GM is Malaysian. Been there for a very long time. I've heard that. But that was in the 90s?
Yeah, it was in the 90s. Yes.
So you work for that company. What did you do for that company?
I managed the racing teens. I did a lot of like management for them.
Oh, so it's nothing to do with physics that you studied?
Actually, no.
No.
No, it was quite different.
Did you get to race?
Were you interested in cars? I mean, or was it just a job opportunity?
I was, of course, by that time, if you, in the 90s in China, for the young generation, if you have car, it's kind of today you have the helicopter in China.
Yes, like 90s, not many people had cars.
Yes. So definitely I had interest on the cars. Yes, right. Also, I working in that team, I got a very good chance or opportunity to connect to a lot of people who came back from Australia, from America, from Europe. That's right.
Okay.
So it gave me the good opportunity to learn everything, really the true things about
the West.
Yeah, West.
Right.
Yes, right. The lifestyle, how the people work, and how people respect the professional thing.
So at that time you were already working, had some communication with foreigners.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely, yes.
And so you already, your English was good back then?
But I mean, I still don't think my English is so good today. But definitely now my English is so much better than that time. But that time I could talk. I mean, I could talk to the people.
Understanding is a lot easier than talking, of course, at the beginning.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
So you did it for 2 years after getting your bachelor's degree, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened after that?
So at some point after I worked in China for a few years, I realized I still want to go back to school. And I decided to, hey, what should I do? And then I decided to go to school in US. That's right.
Yeah, so what do you ask? Like, how do you decide to go to school in the US? Why?
How do you make it happen?
How do I make it happen? You have to study hard. Definitely, let me say, when I working for the racing car company, that's right, I got the chance to know a lot of fans from outside China, like a lot of fans, a lot of connections from US, from Europe, from Australia. So, and I won't say there's some kind of like key motivation making me decide to go to US. It's just like it comes out. I
just came up and you wanted to go to the US.
Yeah.
To study what?
Of course, I mean, in terms of school, yes, right, because my background was physics science. So I went to school for physics science, and but I didn't finish the doctoral degree for physics science, and I changed my major to computer science.
Wait, that's in the US already?
Yeah, that's in US
But
already.
okay, so before that, like Fernando I think he was getting into the how do you make it happen, right? Like, so going to study in the US,
Did you get a
it's a lot of money, right?
Did you...
Oh yeah.
How do you make that happen?
First of all, you still need to study, right? To get a good score, to get the people, to get the professor in the university, in US university to know you.
To accept you.
Yes, like, and by that time, our income was so low.
Right.
So we definitely didn't have enough money go to school in US directly. Yes, so we got to find a way to get the scholarship.
Scholarship.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you managed to get a scholarship to go to. So back in the 90s, it was 98, right, when you went to the US, right?
The year I went to US
so
was 1998.
you were going to do your master's or a second bachelor, or what was that?
First of all, I tried to get my doctoral degree for physics science,
right.
And I didn't finish that one because I realized the one I really wanted to do was computer science. Mm-hmm. So I changed my major. I got my master's degree of computer science from California State University.
So 90s computers were not popular in China, I'm sure, right? I mean, for me, my first computer I remember must have been like 95 computer, like not like a Game Boy, you know. But in China, I bet it was not even like that yet, right?
Well, when I arrived here in 2000 and I brought my laptop, I think I told you this story before to the listeners or the people watching, and I went to teach at a factory. And then
Yeah, the laptop.
one of the person in front of like that laptop is from here. I said, no, I bought it in America. No, we make it here. I don't think so. Flips it over. Dongguan.
Made here.
Like literally
Yeah.
in Dongguan.
No, but I mean, people didn't have it. They were making it, but people buy computers? Not yet.
No,
I think. Not many.
Let me say in 80s or 90s last century in China, the government here, they know, but by that time they know computer is kind of the future.
Okay.
So the government put a lot of efforts, investments into the computer industry by that time.
Okay.
So of course, because I went to university in China, so I got a very good chance to use the computer in school.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I had a computer already. I had a laptop when I was in by that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving to the US, so 98, you got accepted, you managed to secure a scholarship, and you moved to California. How was that? What do you remember from that day or, you know?
Yeah, that's more than 20 years ago.
Was that the first time that you went out of China?
Yes.
Yeah, it was the first time.
And you landed
Yes.
in LA, San Francisco?
LA, International Airport.
It's a long flight.
Yeah, by that time it's just so huge difference between countries by that time. And I still remember the first moment I get into the car. I took the car from airport back to the apartment where I rent. The whole way I just seeing, oh my God, it's just so much different, so big, huge, different world.
Right.
That's right. and yeah, that's what I say. I would say I realized I was in total different world.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went for physics, but you changed after a while, you say,
Yeah,
right?
after 1 year.
Computer science. And so how many years did you study there?
I studied in school about 3 years.
3 years in California.
Yeah.
So when you study in California, I guess there were a lot of Chinese students there?
Oh yeah, by that time there's more today.
Yeah, I'm
by
sure.
that time there's a lot of like international students from China, from India, from all the countries, as you see in US always.
Is it? I think we talked with some people about that situation where the Chinese students in the US, a lot of them, they just keep between themselves, right? They just communities is more tight. Like what was it? I think Billy talked about it. Maybe like
hang around with the same Chinese people.
and just
He
keep
doesn't
eating
want
noodles.
Yeah,
the whole
they
4 years.
They don't want to incorporate to the rest of society. To stay together with the other Chinese people.
Was it like that feeling?
Was that your
community?
experience, or?
Yeah, that's kind of common thing even today for the international students in US.
Not just Chinese, I guess.
Yeah, not just Chinese.
Yeah.
It's right. French get together, German people get together.
Other communities and
yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Right.
And for me, yes, I mean, after class for like normal life, still a lot of Chinese friends get together.
Right.
Yeah, but I was lucky because when I work on my thesis, and my professor, she is Jewish, that's right, and she helped me build a lot of connection to the different type of people.
What was your thesis about?
My thesis about?
Yeah, what was it about?
We did the AI thing.
AI already.
Well, we use AI algorithm for speech and speaker recognition.
Okay.
Yeah, to help people to use the algorithm, use device to help people to do the hearing aid.
Hearing aid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were already, you started getting interested in AI.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yes.
I see.
That's 20 years ago.
What did you do after graduation?
I work for a big company in San Diego. Yeah, I won't. I told Jeff probably not good idea to say the name.
So also AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Use the AI for management, for security.
But I mean, you graduated, in 2000, 2001 or whatever, right? Like something like that. And you decided, I want to stay here. I want to get a job in the US? I mean, you were not a US citizen yet, right? You were. How did that happen? Because we spoke about it the other day, right? It seems that nowadays that vast majority of Chinese overseas students, especially from Guangdong, because I mean I'm not in Beijing or I don't know how it goes there, but they study abroad and they come back. To me, it feels like everybody come back today, and maybe because now China is the place. Come back to where the opportunities are, right? Okay, I got the education, and maybe 20 years ago it was not like that yet, right? So how was it for you to make the decision, and did you have any family pressure
to come back?
So how was that?
Or to stay?
No, it's kind of I don't have very. Be honest, I don't have very big challenge or what's the biggest motivation let me stay in US. It's kind of I just got my job.
You just got a job offer?
Yeah, before my graduation. I started have internship.
Right.
Yeah, and to work on some good project.
Right.
So just kind of very smoothly just.
So you got a job offer and you you took the job and things just happened, right?
Yeah. Not too much story in that part. I just lucky, I would say.
So how long you stayed in the US for 15 years eventually in the end, right?
Yes. Before I start, I came back here to start my own business. I been working there 15 years.
Do you see many of those classmates you had, Chinese ones, back then, those Chinese students, a lot of them stayed in the US after graduating?
The percentage in that age, the percentage of students staying in US is much higher than today. That's what you say.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you can see.
Right.
Because now for this generation, you say that almost all the students finish their degree in US, then come back in China to work. Is right. But that time, I guess a very high percentage students stay in US.
It's interesting because you talked about getting a scholarship. You came from the countryside. Your parents weren't rich, right? But we live in Dongguan, and I know a lot of the overseas students. And
they have an association here. Is the OSA? Is it?
Yeah, DG Overseas Scholar Association, and it seems that pretty much all of them are rich. So they come back to that family business and something like that. But I guess there is a big portion of Chinese overseas students that they just managed to find a scholarship way to go there.
Yeah, the time in our age, that time, most people like us, we didn't have. If we didn't get a scholarship, there's no way we can go to US. Right. Because the income, the whatever, for most people in China by that time, we didn't have enough money if we don't get a scholarship. But today, the income is so much higher in China. It's right. There's a lot of, especially for the business owner. Yeah, they have more than enough money to support their kids to go outside China.
Yeah, I think
education.
A lot of those rich people, a lot of these people with means now, they got their wealth in the last 2 decades, right? It's not like before that. But it's interesting because you can. I don't know which scholarship you got. Was it like a government scholarship or whatever? But there are many scholarships that are available, also for foreign students to come to China for university. And we spoke to Rachel about that too. So I guess there are ways to go to study abroad for that. So you worked in that company for a very long time, or in San Diego?
Yeah. I always work for a company.
You worked for that same company for a long time.
Yes.
What can you tell us about where you involve the community, the IT, the technology, the AI in California? You spent some time in Silicon Valley.
Yes, the job I've been working there. We used to work with a lot of company from Silicon Valley.
Cooperating.
Yeah, cooperating, and we do things together.
Okay.
And so that's why I also have a lot of connections or network, a lot of fans in Silicon Valley.
All right. So we spoke before we started recording. We spoke about like the Chinese community in California and Silicon Valley. There are more and more Chinese nowadays than before because China technology is getting so strong.
Yes, you just mentioned there's more or a lot of students come by China after they are graduating in US, right? But I still seeing there's so much more Asians, Chinese people in Silicon Valley, in whole California than the time I just went there today.
Those Chinese people, are they Chinese citizens or American citizens?
It depends.
Both.
It depends, both, I guess.
I don't know if it's, I just came to my mind this question. Like, for example, Apple or Google, do they employ Chinese people in the US? Not Chinese with American citizens, Chinese.
Yeah.
They do.
That means that they hire good graduates from different schools, right? And some of them are Chinese.
Right, so it doesn't matter the nationality.
Yeah, they just need the talents. They don't care
the
who
talent.
they are. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Is a lot of the IT business and IT research, does it have a chance here in China? Do you think it will maybe move to China and China become the hub of technology?
I think so. I mean, in terms of the digitalization or for the whole society, we talk about digital transformation. And there's huge opportunity in China. And another matter for the business or for the market or in terms of the governments or the whole society management services, you can see there's huge opportunity for digitalization.
I've heard a lot of businesses that are considering moving from Western places, like for example, the stock market. The stock market is looking really positively at moving to Shanghai, for example.
Moving or
opening and investing and working.
It, right.
Well, it becomes a branch with a lot more possibilities.
Branching in China. Right.
What would be the Silicon Valley of China?
Is it not Shenzhen? Or
what do you think is the Silicon
Valley of China?
I would say what Silicon means for China, the same what Silicon means for the entire world. If you go to the good companies such as like Intel, Google, Facebook, or some good school there like Stanford, you're seeing all kinds of people from all over the world, not just from China. That's right. People want to learn the idea. People want to learn the good technology there. People want to find the talents there. And it's not just from China.
Where is it in China? Like, where would you say one location in China
which city
that
in
is
China
comparable to Silicon Valley? Or there are probably a few places.
I don't put too strong my personal point about that, but I can see the key power today is innovation. Not a matter innovation of the business model or the innovation of like technology.
You mean in China?
Not the whole world.
Right.
That's right. So in China, the same thing. One can see especially the tier 1 cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. They are very keen at the government is very keen at the innovation thing. That's right.
Right.
And they want to bring the innovative people. They want to bring the talents who who has like a very innovative idea.
What about that claim that China just copied technology? And in the last few years, I mean, I think Jack Ma said a few years ago that first they copy and then they got better than the the original or something like that. There was some kind of, right?
I would say two things. One thing is, as the digitalization of the whole world get deeper and deeper, and the idea thing or what you do in one point is, let me say what happened here, you could see in a couple seconds in Silicon Valley. That's right. Whatever happened in Silicon Valley, you will see it in China here in a couple seconds. So if you just simply you copy something from Silicon Valley, do it in China, probably today is not that age anymore. That's right. It's just different generation. So you do need the like what's the original innovation. That's right. You need to do real innovation today in China.
Right.
Then you could become successful.
I've always understood China as being a meritocracy, as in you have to give good results and you have to perform well to be promoted, and that is a little bit opposed to the idea of research or implementation of new ideas, innovation, because there's a lot of trial and error when you do innovation. How do you think the future of China is in terms of innovation? Think about education. Yeah, the Gaokao, for example. Everything is about, okay, how well do you do? How well do you remember these things? I don't see much innovation in the education of Chinese students.
You don't feel that it's educating for innovation.
Exactly.
Right? That system. But how, so in that, in this kind of situation, how do they still manage to innovate growing up in that system? That's what you're saying, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, how do you see China changing to create more creative people, more innovative people, when the education system is not built for that?
I guess we can talk about a lot about education, right? But probably we don't focus on that part today. But if we talk about innovation, that's always the topic in my life, in my job, is right. How we use the creative idea or innovative way to use the technology to solve the problem. That's my whole career.
Can you teach?
But I mean, maybe we ask it differently. Like, you have people working for you here in the company. They're Chinese people, right? There are Chinese people that most of them studied in China, right? Yeah. So when you see them, you studied in the US, you came back here after 15 years, right? And also you have American friends, you've seen people, Western people in technology industry. When you look at the people working here for you that grew up here in China, how do you see their ability to innovate? Is it a good one? Are they behind people that studied abroad?
Here is the thing. Let me say, we talk about like copycat things, right? And in last few decades, you didn't really have like a real innovation. You could be very successful. As the age changed, as the whole country being better and better developed, that's right. So when we talk about innovation, we really need to think about what's the motivation for innovation. That's right. It's not just simply probably talk about the education, talk about the way people work. We need to really think about what's the innovation, what's the motivation for innovation. Because all the innovation, there's cost for it. Like as you say, there's always a lot of fair, okay? So why people still want to do it? There must be some motivation for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. You
need to have motivation for it. That's what you're saying. If maybe there is no motivation for it, then
there's no innovation.
There is no innovation, right?
All right. Tony, we're going to take a very, very short break.
We're back with Tony H.
Tony H.
So Tony, we spoke about you growing up, going to America, being in IT, and then a few years ago you decided to come back here, right?
When was
So
that?
suddenly, why?
2013.
2013, coming back to China. What made you decide that?
Oh, there's. I would say, I original from China. That's
Right.
right. Not a matter good or bad. I understand it. That's right. I feel it's kind of feel comfortable.
Right.
Not matter you face to the good or bad. You feel comfortable. You know it. You understand it.
Right.
And of course, I mean, in terms of a start a business, then you need to think about what you do, what's the opportunity. It's like, so what I see is, like what I just said, for the digitalization of the whole country, I see there's so much opportunity in China.
Right.
And I see there's so strong demand of the new technology, of the digital innovation.
Oh, sorry, when you say digitalization, what does that mean exactly?
Let me say when we talk about digitalization, just give it simple. When we talk about digitalization of a company, that's right. It's not just for the company to buy the software. Buying the software, of course, you need a budget for buying the software. But the biggest part is when you use the software.
Using
Using the software. Yes, right. If you use the software in a proper way, it saves your money, saves your cost for your business operation. But if you use software in a wrong methodology, it could cost you a nightmare. That's right. That's where you can see there's a lot of company bought the software. They give up a few years after they're being using it.
Right.
Why? Because they realize, oh, it didn't help me, it cost me more. It's not something wrong with the software. It's something wrong with the way how they implement the software in their business. That's what we used to call digitalization of your business.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you decided to come back here. You saw the opportunity, 2013. After 15 years in the U.S., you already became an American citizen. You came here directly with the idea of opening your own company. You had some VCs, you have investors already, because you know many people in the US, Silicon Valley. It was that right away from the beginning when you came here?
I guess at the beginning I started business by my own.
Okay.
And with my friends.
Okay.
And we often put some funds into it. And then we realized what we do, we are helping the customer here, create a value for them. And then we decide to had a bigger team here, and 2 years, less than 2 years after we established the business here, and we got the VC from China, and so
that was
the whole
Foocaa.
Yeah, for the Foocaa.
Foocaa right away. You came to China, you started Foocaa. It's a high-tech company, and you focus on AI. Right from the beginning, right?
Yeah, we focus on AI, and we build the AI-driven solution for smart cities, smart community.
And right from the beginning, that was the focus, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Smart cities, smart communities, AI. So, did you start this in Dongguan?
Oh yeah, I started my business in Dongguan in Songshan Lake.
Why Dongguan?
Why? First of all, I grew up in Guangdong.
You grew up in Guangdong, yeah.
That's right. So I know Guangdong pretty well.
You speak Baihua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Dongguan is in Guangdong. Also, as you can see, is right. People talk about the Grand Bay. What's that called?
Great Bay
Greater
Area.
Bay Area.
Greater Bay Area.
Yes.
And Dongguan is, what's that called geographically? Dongguan is the center of the Greater Bay Area.
And
so the location is pretty good.
And Songshan Lake is trying to focus on high tech.
Yeah.
So that felt like the right place for you.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I like Songshan Lake. Songshan Lake just looks so nice to me.
Yeah.
And
It does.
it's good for the high tech company.
It does look nice. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. When people hear the word AI, when people talk about AI, it scares people. Why do you think that is, and why are they wrong?
If people feels cool, feels safe, or feels risk of AI, it's not something wrong with the AI. That's right. And even you feel it's good, AI is not something good with AI. It's the way how we use AI. It's not just the AI for any technology. It's like we probably not a good idea to talk about good or bad or how good or how bad of the technology itself. We should talk about the way how we use the technology. Yes, right. So AI is the technology. Yes, so it depends the way how we use it. It's very simple. Just for one of the rock. That's right. What you use the rock for? It's like the human being using the rock for a million years already. That's right. We're still using it. So what we use the rock for anything.
Right. It can be used for good things. Can be used for bad things.
The AI is the same thing.
But I mean, maybe because you are so much into it and you really do AI. Specifically for, like you said, community management and stuff like that. I think Fernando talks about more like the big picture, like, because I think when a regular person, when a really the most regular person that doesn't work in technology hears AI, just these two letters, AI, people think of the future. Machines will take over our planet, machine will become intelligent, and that's what he means, right? But I think you're doing the actual application of AI in daily life, so you know too much about it to be even understanding someone from the outside thinking that, I think.
I think that a lot of people, or I personally, was influenced by reading Isaac Asimov.
Right. So
all this futuristic science fiction, like
books. Right. So people are influenced by that because they don't understand the specific application and the value, usefulness of what AI actually does right now, that what it does, which we will talk about, right? So so this is why it's actually interesting to understand that AI is already used in so many things that everybody go through every day of their life, right?
You showed us something about some of the parking solutions that you guys developed here. You showed us how your particular product is more cost effective than other products that are used. Could you give us an idea of how does it work, basically?
You guys are right. I mean, AI being used in all different area. It's like not a matter for biotech, for doctor, or for society. Yes, right. And what we focus on, we use the AI for smart city and the smart community. And of course, I mean, for our company, we focus on the AI driven solution to help the business to improve the management, to improve their efficiency of the what they are doing. So we try to help them to reduce the cost, to improve the way how they are typical doing things, such as what you just said, parking management. And in terms of business, we always think about how we use the technology to save the cost for business. It's right to do things a different way, and we I would say the AI thing what we do, we use for business operation, we use for communities management, we use for like a city management, all those.
I remember before I came to China, I was a young kid, probably 23, 24. We opened in a city in my country something like an intelligent building. And they were like, oh, it's an intelligent building. What does that mean? Oh, what does that mean?
Smart building. Yeah.
A smart building. But then nowadays, pretty much everything is a smart.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? Like you can now easily, I think anyone can do it. Probably, we can program our AC, right? To always turn off 5 minutes after we leave home, just by location. We don't need to do anything, right? Or even the system can learn our pattern of coming home, and before we come home, it will put the AC on, right? That's AI in some way, right? A simple one. Is that? If like just they learn the pattern of when we come home and.
By the way, when we say smart city or smart building or smart device, it depends. It's right. Like what you say, you consider that smart 10 years ago, you won't say it's smart today.
Right? Yeah, like
it's right. So for whatever the smart device, buildings or smart solution today, you think it's smart, man, not smart anymore in 5 years.
It's not smart enough.
Because you showed us a project that you did at an exhibition center. So you guys are able to monitor everything.
The whole exhibition center.
In that exhibition center, from temperature, people walking in, people walking out, different entrances, different. That to me is today's definition of a smart building. What would be tomorrow's?
Yeah, what can we add to that, right? Yeah.
I mean, because you showed us, right? It's temperature, humidity, people in, people out, this area, that area, CO2 levels. I mean, you got all the information of what's taking place in the building.
Right.
What's next?
The next, I would say, I talk about a lot of like digitalization of the whole society. That's right. So when we say the building, the city, I would say, as long as the digitalization of the city gets more and more area or more and more deeper.
Can you give us example with like that the person experience, but he doesn't even know he's experiencing it?
Let me say today, because we put in more sensors, chips everywhere.
Right.
It's like the lights,
Cameras,
the air conditions, the roads, traffic.
Right.
It's like, so we are collecting the more and more data. It's like, so right now we are still working on it. It's like how we put all those data together, make a data work together. It's like to make the city runs more and more precisely. It's like we could. Right now we feel very comfortable to control your phone. It's like to control one device. So how can you run a city, including the whole city, the business, the people, the buildings, the traffic, everything, such as you can manage the iPhone simply.
Right.
That's right. It's maybe one day. What I can see is one day we can manage the city the same simple as you manage your iPhone.
So back to what Fernando said before. So this is very powerful. So when people are afraid, maybe it's being used in wrong ways. But that's, I guess, not the business you're in. You are into what can we do that is useful with that kind of...
I mean, the technology that is being developed has enormous potential.
Yes.
And it's a tool. You can use a hammer to build a table, or you can use a hammer to break that glass.
Right.
So it's how it's used which makes it different, and that's what scares people. Like, which hands are handling this tool?
Right.
That's the biggest thing, I think.
So back to I do want to talk about that project that Fernando mentioned. Can we talk about the parking lot? The parking lot.
Of course.
So what you showed us is that basically it reads your face and it will tell you that's the end result, right? It will tell you where your car is. Maybe it's a big parking lot, and people always forget where they put their cars. So you use technology to, of course, read the license plates, but also face recognition, right? And then later on the big screen with a map, you scan your face, and it tells you exactly how to go to find your car, right?
Yes.
So I've never seen it in real, but you say it's already in practice in some places.
I've seen it, for example, go up, but not with your face. You actually have to key in your license plate, and then it tells you.
That's not as cool.
Not as sophisticated as this one.
Right.
So yes, that's very interesting part you bring up. So let me say, if management side decide like collecting your personal data.
Right.
That's not the way
That
it's supposed
intended.
to be.
Right.
That's right. So you should let the people who wants to use our face or not.
Right.
So in my system, we always let the consumer to choose to decide if they want to be, if they want to use the technology or not.
A lot of this data is actually, for example, I don't remember where I got this information, but I was talking to somebody that in malls they have AI detecting, oh, this is a couple, oh, this is a mother with a kid, and how many people are coming at what time. And they take
Just
all
for
this
their
information.
own records.
No, to devise marketing strategies. At what time do we have more families? At what time do we have with single ladies?
Right.
So they use AI to devise marketing strategies. But this is taking place, if I'm not mistaken, in Guomao today.
Right.
To
You mean you're just walking around? You don't. Most people don't even
No.
realize
you don't
this
know
is happening.
exactly, and this is delivering information to a certain database that is being used to play certain music at a certain time, or do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. But this is, I think, it's a big debate online in the West. Maybe like is this a privacy issue? You know. So this
It was a huge thing. Sorry, on Twitter, I made a short video when I was at an airport, and I'm walking down the street, and then all of a sudden I look at the screen, and there's my face, and said like, "Oh, you are 5 minutes away from your gate," and I'm like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Like,
How do they?
yeah,
That is interesting. But I
it
mean,
is a service, but it surprises you.
So the issue here is this: if it's used in the right way and a non-violent, aggressive, bad intentional way, it's great. If it's not used that way, right? If it's used just to be useful, our life is getting more comfortable, more easy. You're walking and it tells you have 5 more minutes.
My reaction was, "Wow, so cool."
Yeah, it's cool.
Twitter, you're a sheeple. You've been like,
Right. So Western convention is that privacy is above.
I always say,
everything.
I'll guess this a little bit silent, but I always say that if you have nothing to hide, it's all for a good service.
In China, there is no this discussion too much. Americans think about that. Chinese don't, right? Chinese just, oh, this is great. This is innovation and technology and
great service.
Life is better, so why not?
I guess the definition of privacy, the definition of privacy, also is something keep change all the way. It's like, for today, you may think that's the sensitive data or that's the privacy, but you may not think that's the privacy anymore 5 years later.
It's already
think about
changed,
COVID-19.
Yeah.
How much resistance has there been in the West about tracing?
It was, but I think it's less now, right?
Yeah.
It's like subsided, it's like...
Yeah, but we in China, sure, just let me scan.
So people have different, it's a different mentality about that, I think.
Here is the thing, is right. Let me say, because we the whole world talk about AI a lot in the last few years,
right?
And especially for the face recognition, and it being used a lot in China. Also, it's also used in US as well. Use the face recognition knows who you are, where you are. Use the camera. It's like, do you think that's faster than just the phone company knows where you are? No. The cell phone being used almost 20 years. Once you use the cell phone, the phone company knows where you are exactly as 20 years ago. Faster. Much faster than the AI. But we just don't really realize that.
Yeah, it's already 20 years that, like you said, whether with the phone or whatever, other ways, cameras, just, face recognition also. At least think about if someone needs to find you, someone, authority, police, if they need to, that's what they use to find you.
Look, I was in Beijing at an innovation center in December, courtesy of CRI, and they took us to a stand where ByteDance has a special booth where people can post videos of people that are missing. like people with Alzheimer's, elderly, for example, that get lost and whatever. And they had a very high success rate of finding people that are lost just using face recognition in the street. So it's an integration between...
Nothing to do with TikTok, just...
No, it's a separate thing.
It's something they do.
But it's something that they do. So they connect cameras and surveillance to reports of people missing.
Right. So it's used in a very good way.
I asked the question, can the police do this? They did not answer, though. But...
Of course the police can do that.
Of course. I suppose they do. But again, it's the application for the good of the people.
Yeah, but when they talk about privacy also, it's another thing. Like I said before, if someone wants to find you, someone with authority, with access, police, whatever, they can find you. Probably 10 minutes, they find you. Wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Today,
not necessarily China, any other country.
Any other countries, US too, yes. But it's not like they know where I am right now. Nobody's interested in where I am right now. But if I did something bad in the future or before, they can know that I was here now. And, of course. So again, it's an information. I don't think we can stop it. I think let's just enjoy how it makes our lives better, all this AI.
I have a question for you. If the phone is able to do this, why did we need tracing for COVID? Why not just follow my phone?
That's a good question, because
what do I need to actually physically click and give more information if you already know where I am?
Maybe it makes things smoother?
No, but the thing is the AI thing can do things more precisely. So you use your phone, but we don't know if it's really you hosting your phone.
So I mean, also probably other things too, right? I mean, they can trace us but they get very limited information, right? But if we are giving consent, there is more information they can get, which also, they need in that situation.
Yeah. Also, let me say, for the phone company, for the phone data, only the phone company has the data. So there are more company or more people wants to access different data.
So we do that, then the government is centralizing it probably and allows more necessary bodies to know. But in Israel, for example, I remember already it was last year, February, when the COVID started to be worse and worse. There was a big debate. The government decided to trace people. Nobody scanned any code. That's where back to what you said. But even just to trace us, you need to pass a law because it's privacy laws. It's not allowed in countries like Israel. In China, I don't think you need anything. But I'm not sure, but I don't think you need to announce or pass a law. I think the government just do this if they need to. In Israel and probably US, you need to go through some approvals to do that.
I think in China it's just this user license agreement, those EULAs. People just click.
Maybe.
Click. Who reads
But again,
those?
so people. I think people in the West are much more sensitive to these things.
I wanted to talk about another project that you showed me last time I was here, that had to do with productivity of staff. That was very interesting. Could you tell us a little bit about that you showed me last time I was here?
I would talk about two things. One thing is for the manufacturer. That's right. We talk about a lot of automation thing. That's right. So right now we are producing a lot of stuff by the machine automatically. That's right. So let me say, for a lot of installation of the different part of the car, we use the robot. So we use the manufacturer shop to do things automatically. So the one you talk about, we call management automation. That's right. So before, if we during your working hours, if you should do this, you should do that, maybe your supervisor, your manager, your boss is the manager to
tell you.
Yeah, to do that. That's right. But now we can just use the technology to do that. That's right. So not just for the monitoring people or people's behavior, also sometimes it helps people to correct their behavior.
Yeah, remember when I was here, you mentioned that, for example, when a customer walks through the door, this system actually records, okay, how much time did it take for this employee to engage and welcome the person.
And then it can be analyzed
and
then
trained
can
better.
Be better, right? Is that the point?
Yeah. That's for what we call the management enforcement. It's like what I'm trying to say is the technology is not just for the enforcement, for the rules enforcement. Also, sometimes it can help you to improve your habit or to improve your behavior. Right? Sometimes you don't know when you're doing something, you don't know if your behavior is wrong or right. So, but
Could you give us an example?
For example, if you when you
Sitting for too long,
yes,
or
sitting for too long, or no, let me say, for the manufacturer workstation, that's right. So if you install some part or you do something, you need to do it proper way. If you do something wrong, it may cause you very dangerous, or it could bring you very risky state. It's like it happens in the manufacturing area, but when people doing things, sometimes people doesn't realize his operation is wrong.
okay,
That's right. So we can use technology to keep track of how they operate the part
okay.
or how they are.
Is it live?
The
Is it
procedure.
live?
You can do it live.
So like it can be like suddenly a red light. You're doing something wrong.
Yeah, if he's doing something wrong, we
Yes.
can just notice him. Hey, you're doing in the proper way.
Is this done with cameras or sensors? What's the difference? Because you said before sensors, right? And I think of cameras. Cameras and sensors, two different things, right?
Very different.
So most things, I guess, you don't need a camera. It's just sensors.
Now for that one, for us, we do use the camera.
Cameras.
We use the camera because the sensor let me say for the behavior analysis, it's tough to use sensor, or you install a sensor.
So the camera has a pre-programmed the right movement, and and then it's the same like it's face recognition, it's
It
movement
recognizes
recognition,
that is wrong.
and the software can recognize that this movement is wrong.
Yeah.
So this is so
What we call behavior analysis.
behavior analysis. Wow. Okay. So what else can that thing? So this is this is interesting. I could say management. It can help you with management. You know, if you know that you analyze the behavior of the staff, and you can, or maybe the software analyze it by itself and just give you data, like like a main data, what to improve. So what kind of companies use that other than manufacturing? Not in manufacturing, I can see that, but like, is it like just is it used in service, in consumer retail? Is it used in?
I guess you could use in a lot of scenario. Another matter for manufacturer, or for like a shopping mall,
Right.
or for like customer service center, or for like a traffic control. It's like when people walk on the street, you're not supposed to walk somewhere. It's like you should walk on.
Right. Can be used in many situations.
It can be used in
Right.
many.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another short break, and we come back to talk about more interesting things with Tony.
And we are back with Tony H. Tony, this building is Founder Space. Founder Space is an accelerator from America, right? Incubator, accelerator, however you call it, for startups. And the guy that founded Founder Space, Steve Hoffman, which I met here a couple of years ago, right? Captain Hoff. And so now you have a few floors in these buildings where you accommodate startups. Facilitate. How did you get into this? How did it come about? Was your office here before, or at the same time, or?
Here's the thing: is like my company Foocaa focus on smart city, smart communities things, right? So my company Foocaa have software, have AI solution, have some product for our customer. But when we talk about smart city, smart community, they need more supplier, they
Right.
need more technology.
Right.
It's not all the technology my company can provide.
Right.
So what we call, there's a whole supplier chain we need for
Yes.
whole smart city, smart community. So that's the whole idea why we, or that's the motivation why we have Founder Space Innovation Center here.
You want to build a community
Yeah.
of suppliers.
For the cities and
That's interesting.
Yeah, we want to bring the relate technology. We want to bring the
Into under one roof.
under one roof, so we can serve the same customer, we can serve the same market together.
And why startups? Is it usually with startups? Startups seems a lot of like high techs, right? Like when I think of startups, it's usually high tech. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's not necessarily, right? It doesn't have to be high tech. A startup can be anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, startup could be anything. It's like you could be like the new way to provide a service, or the new way to use the technology,
Or a new brand, a
it could
new
be
product.
anything.
Or just an innovative table, whatever. You know, it
Yeah.
can be a startup. But so at the same time, Founder Space wanted to open a branch in China. How did you get in touch with them? You said you actually know Steve Hoffman.
Oh yeah,
From before.
yeah. We are connected for many years.
Okay.
And there's I guess there are three biggest reasons why Founder Space opened a branch here. One is China is putting more and more efforts on the innovation. That's right. So there are, the second thing is what we do. I just told you. What Foocaa does, we need more partners. We kind of want to bring the partners together to serve the same customer. Another one is Stephen Hoffman. He's very good at building the innovation, building the exhilarator, to build the incubator in China. And he knows China. He knows innovation. He knows a lot of stars in Silicon Valley in US. So
this Founder Space, they have this incubator here now in Dongguan in Songshan Lake, and they also have one in Hangzhou.
Oh yeah, they have one in Xi'an.
But these are the different. Is it
Different focus, maybe?
Yeah, is it different focus there?
Basically, like what you say, for Founder Space incubator or say innovation center, basically focus on the high tech, is right. But high tech, there's different high tech.
Right, different.
And for this one here, we focus on more digital
Smart cities.
I see. So
digital technologies.
So how it works, I guess, like any other accelerator, right? You may present what your company does to the people in charge, and you need to be accepted through some kind of conditions or deliberations, right? And then you get an office here, then you work here, you get some kind of support, right, on different levels, I guess. Whether it's advice, whether it's different kind of level, even investment support or connection to other investors, right? It's like it's like a greenhouse for startups.
It gives you access to a lot of people that are doing similar things. So there's a lot of exchange that takes place.
Right.
And that's what makes it an accelerator. The information is all condensed in one place.
What makes it successful, like an incubator, like in general?
The number of patents.
What makes it successful?
There are different challenges for startups. That's right. So for startups, you need a good idea, you need a customer, and you need the funds, you need a team, and you need a product. So what Founder Space here is we have a team here who the team is dedicated to helping the stars to found your companies and to help the stars to find the right people. And the difference in here is I think the team here very focused on helping the startup to get the customer. That's right. Or including helping the startups to build connections, to find the right customer. That's the top thing they are very keen at doing. Of course, not just this, including all the typical service such as to find the right people, to talk to the, helping you build a right connection to the government, or to find the right investor. I mean, they also do those things, but the very big difference is they're helping you to find the right customer.
Right. And how many startups do you have here now?
For now, we have more than 20.
More than 20.
And half of them is from US. Yes.
So American Chinese?
Yeah, American Chinese.
American Chinese.
So if somebody right now, an American Chinese, is back in the States and he's watching this video and saying like, I have an idea. Maybe these guys can help me. What do they have to do? How do they get here?
Oh, it's simple. I mean, as long as they have a good idea, they can just log in to founderspace.com. And there's you can just submit us an email or to fill out a form there. Just very simple. So we will have.
So it goes through the main Founder Space
website.
Yeah. Okay. And any success story already from here?
We saw a lot of patents downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see we have a lot of patents. You can see on the wall. Also, I mean, we actually been operating little bit less than a year. That's right. And we have a few very successful start already.
That's very quick.
Yeah,
very quick.
We have more than 3 stars here get the very good investments. And
in China?
Yeah, in China.
So from Chinese investors?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
And most of them are very successful getting the customer.
So most of them already have the product, and because it takes time, right? Some startups, they may work for 3, 4, 5 years and they're still not making any money. No customer yet, right?
Yeah, the team here very focused. How to say is very good at helping the startups.
Committed to the success of the startup.
That's good. It's not just I have idea. Let's work on an idea for a few years. Like they really want to help you to find the customers and everything.
When does a startup finish being a startup? When does a startup is no longer a startup?
It's almost I would say a philosophical question, because I think
you can be here as a startup for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
I think some companies are startups forever. It's also a mentality being a startup. I think in general, I don't know what's the definition of that, you know. But what's your answer to that? What do you think? Not just being like when a startup stop being a startup, regardless to how long they can stay here under this umbrella, you know. But like,
I guess if you keep trying the new way of your business operation,
if you keep innovating,
keep trying the new way to use any technology, or if you just you keep trying something new, you should consider your startup.
Right. So because if you made a table that's very innovative, and you were a startup, and then the table succeeded
and becomes commonplace,
and now everybody's buying it, and you're not innovating more. You're just selling this table. Then
just
maybe you stop. then you're just not a startup anymore.
Regular
maybe.
manufacturer.
Right.
Normally, people could say that.
Yeah. Just to find a...
I'm interested. I don't know if you know anything, but AI and the development of AI in cars, it's something that I'm very interested in. For example, why is it that it's so difficult for autopilots in intelligent cars to actually work in China? For example, in the United States, Tesla, your car will navigate anywhere,
It's allowed.
no problem, right? It's a lot more advanced than it is here in China. I'm asking because you talk about smart cities. What is missing in China for us to have the next level of automated driving?
For like a self-driving car, right? I personally didn't really think about it too much, and so I don't have good idea how to compare how the self-driving here in China or over there in US or in US. But for any thing, when we talk about a smart city, it's like it's not just one single technology. Sometimes it's talk about the regulation, talk about the way how the government wants to manage the city. It's right, and there's all kinds of all kinds of technologies. And for us, we focus on more how we want to manage the community.
Do you think, okay, to make a very simple question, do you think the advancement in autopilot in America has to do with the car or with the infrastructure? Is the infrastructure smart to communicate enough with the car, and that's what we don't have here in China? Is it the car or is it the city?
I would say theoretically, from the point of view, what was it in terms of technology? I would say is the infrastructure thing. I mean, when we design the technology, the infrastructure, all kinds of infrastructure we should consider. That's right. So, but be honestly, I won't say the self-driving car thing there's too much advanced in US than in China. It's like, let me say in US they still require people sitting in the car for the self-driving car thing. You need to put your both hands on the wheel. That's right. So that's the something didn't really get soft in terms of the technology. Let me say, that's something not just related to the technology, also related to the recreation. People talk about a lot. Let me say, you have two kids ahead of your car. If you have to hit one, how the technology decide which one going to hit?
But I've heard this before.
Ethical question.
I think one more to your equation. I was also kind of what you said in the end there. I think maybe it's neither technology or infrastructure. Maybe it's more political and regulation. Simply as that. Because technology, I don't think it can be technology. Technology exists. I mean, it's the same car. You can have it here or there. Sensors and cameras and stuff that supports that on the road, China has more than the US. Maybe only China also still have those little alleys and some streets that are not very comfortable, maybe.
Or well plotted or well...
But my feeling is it's regulation related, just political.
No, I guess because I always from the domain of technologies, right? Talks about the technology. Honestly, I don't think a self-driving car is fully ready anywhere, not matter in any country. It's not fully ready yet. Not just not only just the technology, including the technology, regulation, the infrastructure. That's right. Let me say there's some small town in China.
Like in Shenzhen, there's districts in
Shenzhen. Small town. They're reorganized, they're some kind of did some infrastructure improvements, right, to make sure the self-driving car can run the whole town. What that means is when we talk about the self-driving, we may need to also think about how we want to change the regulation, how we want to change the way how people work, or we probably need to do some redo the infrastructure a little bit. That's right. So it's not just simply about the AI technology.
It's a very it's a huge leap forward. This district in Shenzhen, if I'm not mistaken, where they have Didis, and they sense when people are coming out of buildings. So they'll kind of like pinpoint which Didis are available and send a driverless, well, not Didi, but a car. Driverless, yeah.
Okay.
So it's all the interaction from the small building, right? From people getting on the elevator. Oh, there are 10 people coming down.
So there's already.
Yes, there's just like something like 5 blocks or something like that.
They only within the 5 blocks.
Yes,
they can.
So it's kind of like a testing area for this kind of
interesting
coordination and linking of AI buildings, smart buildings, and transportation.
They should just jump straight to flying cars. I think. Yeah, come on, we're waiting for it since the movies. Yeah. We can, I think, talk for hours about AI.
Yeah.
And
that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do, and I think that we will talk in the future more. Hopefully, we'll have another chance to come here, visit.
So if you guys like this topic, let us know in the comment section down below, and then we'll pay him another visit and poke his brains a little bit more.
Yes.
Thank you for your coming.
All right, guys, so you know how it goes. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you like the content of our channels, then consider subscribing to it. And until
next time,
this was, of course,
China.